Just a quick rundown of the decision you all made to close schools next week.
So the Board of Education met today in a call meeting and received an update from the staff about the planning that we put in place. After receiving that information from the staff, the board then shared their concerns about the coronavirus and what they wanted to set as priorities. They wanted to make sure staff were safe, students were safe, and that learning could continue. And so the board gave me authority in that after our executive session to be able to close school for students and staff next week. Students and staff will come to school on Monday and Tuesday. That will give us an opportunity to make sure that we're able to feed those students once we're out of school, similarly as we do for summer feeding. It also will give us a chance to find out who does not have technology as well as devices, and allow us to provide some devices to students on Tuesday. Once that's complete, we will then have staff come in on Wednesday just to verify that we're up and running and ready for being out of school. On next week, Thursday evening, we have a board meeting. The board will then reconsider what will happen the following week. We don't want to be too far out front, but we want to make sure that we're sensitive and aware of what's happening with coronavirus. The virus has spread quickly. It may be in middle Georgia. Currently, we don't have any situations, but the board did give me the flexibility that if something happens quicker than next week, Wednesday, we can close school on Monday or Tuesday if necessary. But we want the community to have a chance to respond. We recognize that when we're out of school, a lot of parents are going to have to stay home and take care of their children. And in the coordination and conversations I've had with university presidents here in Middle Georgia, as well as with the other superintendents in the area and the county government, we recognize that when we make a decision like this, there needs to be some time for planning to make it work. It's not the same as closing school because of snow. If you close it because of snow, you may be back in 2 to 3 days. This may be more extended, so we need a little bit more time to prepare, and we wanted to let parents have an opportunity to prepare for child care as well.
Now, before you all went into executive session, there was no, I guess, clear decision, on if you all wanted to close schools or not. And we know that a lot of other events, Cherry Blossom Festival, basketball, a whole bunch of stuff just around the nation has shut down or decided to shut down. What points were brought up, if you're allowed to expound on that, in there? Because you all were in there for a while, that led to this decision.
So, several things. One, the president of the board read the statement for why we were going to executive session. We talked about more than just this while we were back there. There were other issues that were discussed. The points that were made back there that were shared were heard up here as well. Mr. Miller was able to share some of those, and board members were able to share their thoughts about it as well. And so I think the points that led to a different point of view for us versus others is our board is a very active board. They're involved in decision making. And while I get to implement decisions and manage the system on a day-to-day basis, large decisions like this, they are a part of. And this is the first opportunity they have had to hear what we're doing. Are we ready? What does it look like? And what are our expectations? It's also the first time they had a chance to hear what the other superintendents are doing, what the higher universities are doing, what the county government's doing, because it's taken me this long to be able to coordinate with those other agencies, and that's what they needed to hear as they got ready to make decisions.
So would you say that other closures elsewhere influenced this then?
I will say that the review that we have of the coronavirus and knowing how it spreads is a part of the factors that we looked at. We also know that parents are going to make decisions on their own if they want their children to come to school or not. We want to be seen as a partner, working with them and providing safe environment for our students and staff. Yes, we are aware that other districts are closing. We are aware that some are staying open. The governor gave us the flexibility to respond to our community needs, and that's what we're doing.
So hypothetically speaking, what if on Monday and Tuesday, not many kids or not many students show up? Will you guys automatically close the school system then, or how does that work if you guys don't have a certain amount of students that show up?
So we are monitoring attendance daily. We are for staff and students. With the authority they gave me today, I believe that if we don't have a case of the coronavirus that shows up, we're going to continue with the plan as you've heard, because we want to make sure that when it shows up, and I do believe it's just a question of when, that we're able to do extended learning, e-learning as we call it, in a consistent way. And this would be the largest scale implementation of that we've done in Bibb since I've been here.
Dr. Jones, you mentioned a potential contingency plan of if the coronavirus were to occur over the weekend, potentially having to close on Monday or Tuesday. How would that impact the maybe implementation of some of those nutrition programs as well as the potential learning?
So if you've looked at what other school systems have done, if it was something that occurred at a specific school, they end up closing that one school and being able to operate that way. They were more strategic. The purpose was to go in, clean the school, and then determine when students could come back. And that was usually for 2 or 3 days. What you're going to see in this particular case is maybe the same thing where we could be more strategic. It's important for us to know that what's important is being able to feed our students who depend upon us for that in a consistent way. And while we are planning and getting ready, I need time to make sure that we've done all the final coordination with the county as well as the public to make sure we're ready for it. So I anticipate the majority of schools will be open. I hope the community trusts us enough to know that if we think there's a danger, we're not going to put anybody at risk. I'll be honest with you. I'm in that age group where they say it's a problem. I have many bus drivers, nutrition workers, custodians that are in that same age group as well. I'm not going to endanger them. My board doesn't want to, but we have to be recognized that every day in school matters. When students are in school, we have nurses at every school. We can monitor for symptoms. I think in some cases we can provide as good a supervision as some parents can of what's happening, and we know where students are, and they have an opportunity to learn.
So some parents, some of their concerns have been if their days are missed, would they count in terms of towards attendance, since you guys will have that home-based learning potentially in place?
So with the governor making the decision that we could have up to 14 days, what I'm looking at for next week is those 14 days will start on Wednesday of next week, so those days would not have to be made up. If we get past that and go into the next week, those days would not necessarily have to be made up as well, and then the following week is spring break. So hopefully we'll be through this particular phase. If it turns out we have to come back and do more days, we also have a strategic waiver in place where we can go back to the State Board of Education and ask for more waivers. The problem is the best place for students to learn is in school. And we recognize that when they're not there, they're not able to learn as well as they will with this e-learning that we're going to put in place. So it's a compromise.
I know you said something as well in the meeting as well about prom. So what happens if this does expand a little bit longer than expected? What are you guys going to do about graduation as well?
So we're looking at graduation at this time. I've not made a decision for that. We met with principals today and decided that proms are a large gathering, and I'll be honest, it was a hard decision to make because students everywhere look forward to going to their prom. They've already spent money, they've already planned on it. That was hard. But we also recognize that we can't keep doing things as we were if we want to get through this and make sure that all of our citizens are protected. We'll look at graduation and see, but it's too early to make that call right now.
So we can officially confirm that prom is canceled for Bibb County.
We did cancel proms.
And just to reiterate, you guys are reevaluating Thursday or Friday?
We say at the end of the week, the board has a board meeting Thursday. I hope to be able to give them a recommendation then based on what it is we've seen, but if necessary, they'll come back on Friday. So it's either Thursday night or Friday morning.
We'll say end of next week. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.